Well, hello everybody, and welcome to a very special... Oh, hold on. Whoa. There we go. You guys do hear the audio. Hello everyone, welcome to another very special day today. Arenanet have revealed not one, not two, but 3 elite specialization details. We've got the Luminary, we've got the Galeshot, and we've got the Troubadour. So that is Mesmer, that is Ranger, that is Guardian. If your favorite class isn't on the list, well, that's a bit of a shame. But, you know, it's always easy to multi-class in Guild Wars 2. Maybe something here will capture your attention. I'm very curious about what I'm about to read. I've never read this blog post before. I've got a bunch of screenshots. We're going to go through it here together. I'm hoping to see high-quality art. I'm hoping to see tight themes, clear ideas. And while this is not the live stream, there's going to be a live stream for this later in the week. I'm hoping to get some good sense of like what the mechanics might be. There's also a trailer which they kind of throw us into straight away at the beginning. So just let's see what we've got here, and hopefully we're in for a good time. So like they say here, this is a couple hours old. Elite specializations are back: Mesmer, Ranger, and Guardian. Now the Troubadour for the Mesmer is kind of old hat at this point. You know, the very first icon they showed was that like Bardy icon, which a lot of us immediately guessed was going to be Mesmerish. We got the name reveal very early. The icons for Guardian... Actually, I still don't know what this icon Guardian is. Right now, as I shoot this video, I've got no idea. I guess we'll see as we go through the blog post. So that'll be a bit of a revelation to me. But the Ranger icon is clearly going to be that, the bow with the wings on it. Anyway, yeah, so they open straight away with the trailer. So I'm going to just watch the trailer here. Probably gobsmacked. And we'll see what we'll see. So ready, everybody? Let's see.
Their wild hunt lead them into the world where they experience tragedy and heroics, adventure and excitement. Now that they've returned to the Grove, the Troubadour is ready to share their journeys in melody and tale. Let the instruments aid in battle, flustering your enemies, giving your allies time to attack. The lute strums 3 times on its magical strings, sending pulses of energy forth to deal damage to your enemies. As the battle's tempo ebbs and flows, let the harp heal your allies for a moment of soothing melodies.
Well, we do have support in it then.
Up notes, be ready to strike a crescendo upon your enemies, while giving your allies a helping hand.
Wow, that's quite the wand there.
Tales of the Dominion of Winds are whispered on the breeze.
The Dominion of Winds? Seriously? Oh, that makes sense, I guess. We did guess, actually. What was it I guessed? I did a video with Boots earlier in the week where we guessed like one of them might have some Tengu relation. This is, I guess, an obvious choice for it. Very cool. But will that come with, you know, content material? Sorry, I don't mean to pause, guys. I'm just excited. Let's keep going.
The royal houses have emerged, eager to share their ways with the Tyrian alliance. The Galeshot manipulates magnificent gales to strengthen the power of their bow. Draw your cyclone bow, a testament to the magical abilities of these skilled Tengu. With your
draw your cyclone bow. So hold on, is it kind of like a blade swanny thing where they got a gun blade, like a third?
Summon. Gain feathers over time. Use these feathers to bluster your enemy, firing 3 arrows rapidly at your target. Evade backwards, shooting a hail of wind and arrows, crippling your would-be assailants. Use your supersonic arrow, bursting forth with the power of the wind, dealing heavy damage.
I like the animation.
And finish off your enemy with a final blow, leaping back with a flourish of arrows. As your enemies fall, let the wind carry their last breath away.
Okay, nice outro line there.
The ashes of the Char Civil War, the Iron and Flame Legions have combined their technological and magical sensibilities to harness radiant flame to beckon forth an era of change. Call up the Radiant Shroud to gain access to the power bestowed upon you. Protect yourself with your shield and daze your enemies with a quick bash. Bring the hammer down upon them as you grant boons to your allies with the hammer's presence. Take a stance against the damages done to your allies as you heal and grant them.
They're saying hammer. That thing's clearly a great axe right there, by the way.
Become a symbol of hope by fulfilling the duties of the Luminary.
Weird. That Guardian, they're such a curveball. Really? Guardian? So it's iron? What did they say? Iron and flame? I mean, I see the faux fire element. It's funny they didn't pick the appropriate characters at any point. Well, you can't do a Tengu, I guess, for the Galeshot, but we could have had a Sylvari for the Troubadour or a Char here. Man, this was the one Boots and I both guessed the name was going to be Bastion. But it's nice to see it actually in color there. But they've gone with, you know, so hold on. So Luminary is such a weird name for me as well, by the way. I haven't given you guys any commentary on this. Isn't the leader of the Exalted the Luminary? That's immediately what goes to my mind, and then I sort of somewhat think, oh, that means the name's off the table. But, you know, 90% of people don't give a shit about that, so I'm sure that it doesn't really matter to them. Okay, there's a lot to pick at in that trailer. There's actually so much to pick at. I think what's better, though, is for us to continue on down the blog post now, get those details, and then maybe return to the trailer later or see how we feel. Because there's no point, like, speculating, oh, what's this mechanic? If they're just going to explain it in plain text, right? So okay, cool. So there we go. That's the trailer. And hopefully they talk just a little bit more as we go on now about oh, hold on here. About like all the different dimensions we just heard touched on in the trailer. So last week we announced our 6th expansion, Vision of Eternity, and with that comes the news that Elite Specializations are back. Over the next 3 weeks, we'll be providing details on all 9 Elite Specializations through trailers, blogs, and live streams. It's interesting they're doing a 3-3-3 approach, by the way, because to my mind, there's loads of time left before the X-Pack. And, you know, they could have spread it out a little bit more, but no, they're going pretty quick with it. And I kind of like that in a way. It sort of looked like how Spear stuff felt really well made across the board. Good animations, good mechanics, good visuals, good tooltips and icons and everything. And they didn't seem too rushed with Spear. With End of Dragons, things felt really rushed, remember? And with Secrets of the Obscure a little bit as well. So, you know, the fact that they're getting these all in and out early is kind of awesome. So it's important for them to get the beta in early. So this week, they're focusing on the Mesmer, the Ranger, and the Guardian. Tune into Twitch on this Friday for a live preview, and I'll have a video about that, guys. I don't know whether I'll restream it, because to my mind, I just sort of think, well, you may as well watch it for yourself. But I will do content about it. We'll do some kind of a sum up. You know, we'll look at the footage and so on. All right, so the art, I have to say, so I grabbed these screenshots in prep for this video. I really do think they've done very well with the concept art. I mean, look at it. I mean, I kind of want to make a video just about the Troubadour, just so that I can have this as the thumbnail for it all on its own. So good. I'm surprised here, by the way. So wait. That's not really a wand, right? Is that like a conductor's baton stick thingy? Is that the idea? My ignorance of the world of music is going to come through very, very, very obviously here. Yeah, shouldn't that be a Sylvari? I feel like it would have even been better. You know, a little bit green on that image would have been incredibly cool. So the Troubadour, inspiring storytellers. Now, can I just take a pause for a second? And over here in actual Guild Wars 2, well, let's leave my lovely, bubbly party time home instance here. Some people in the Spud Discord over the week were looking, and I think quite rightly, at another place in the game where we do already have a lot of magic influence and magic things going on, and that's Siren's Landing. Siren's Landing is actually quite an interesting place because you got all of the, what are they called, dirges? Was that right?
Excuse me, traveler. My companion and I are trying to help the Risen.
Oh, are you now? Are you? Look, I'd love to help the Risen, but that's not the topic of the video here today. So, if we rewind all the way to Heart of Thorns and you check out Ancient Magics, the Siren of Ore. You know, you got the Dirge of Melandru and the Dirge of Duena, the Dirge of Lissa. This is obviously all 6 gods based, but I wonder whether we'll see kind of any similarities or anything like that. That's at least something that's on my mind, maybe. It's funny because there's a big Sylvari influence here too. Oh my god, if it's a wild hunt thing, is it about Sylvaris whose wild hunt is to come here? Anyway, since the Firstborn emerged from beneath the boughs of the Pale Tree 36 years ago. Oh wow, that's amazing to read that, isn't it? I'm still used to it being like 25 years, which is the number at the launch of Guild Wars 2, but obviously time marches on, guys. Jeez. Kaith is 36 now. It's nice to know that Kaith is older than me. Many Sylvari have taken the lesson, where life goes, so too should you, to heart. traversing Tyria, battling their inner dragons, and finding their place in the time after. This is one of the sidebar. I wish the story talked a little bit more about the nature of wild hunts and the drive of the Sylvari in a post-Elder Dragon world. But anyway, these far-flung travellers have seen and done much in such a short time, and some, whether through whim or wild hunt, have taken to regaling Tyrians with tales of recent famous and infamous figures, such as the cunning Dougal Keen, the fearless Almora Soulkeeper, and even the scathing Scarlet Briar. Oh wow, are they giving us those names just generically, or are there actually mechanics in the Troubadour related to those three? I love that Dougal gets prominence among those other two. I mean, Jesus Christ. Almora had a serious arc in Guild Wars 2. Scarlet had a serious arc. Dougal never has. Dougal's like a bit of trivia for lore nerds from one of the books, effectively. But there he is. Now these Sylvari Troubadours have returned home from their time abroad to share their craft in good faith and to strengthen the bond between their people and the rest of the Tyrian Alliance. So, there's a weird suggestion that they've learnt about this from far away. I wonder if that has much meaning, whether there's a world of minstrels and bards out there. It's very Guild Wars 1 Kurzuki to me, or even, I suppose, thinking about Paragons a little. Troubadours spin dramatic ballads and tales as their words weave magic and music to raise allies' spirits and demoralize their foes. Their recitals can be accompanied by illusory instruments for additional effect. Illusory instruments. So it kind of sounds like your phantasms are instruments now. Now there's no weapon associated with it. Oh my god! If this thing changes all of the phantasm summon abilities to musical instruments, that would be epic. That would be like, you know, like when they released the Weaver and there were just a billion dual skills and it was like, holy shit, I can't believe you put all that effort in. That's how I'd feel about that. Oh god, it's not going to be that though, is it? Let's see. Well, there we go. There she's, and look, she's playing a real instrument there. So what is it? Is it is it a lute when the head is bent back like that? Build up to a crescendo. Troubadours are by the way, I really do think that Sylvari connection is pretty arbitrary, but okay. Troubadours are I would have done it, tied it with the upper class of Divinity's Reach. That feels like the most natural fit to me. But Troubadours are mesmers who seek to support their allies in battles through the power of music and the fantastical tales of Tyrian heroics. It's funny. There's almost a little bit ritualistic there, right? Like the idea that the ritualist empowers their allies by holding the urn of like great heroes and honoring the heroes of past and stuff. And, you know, a little bit Norny feeling there as well. And it's interesting that ritualists has come in the same X-Pack. So does this maybe mean we have a slightly lower chance for seeing like that idea of honoring past heroes being on the Guild Wars 2 ritualist, since it's a very Troubadour thing? And you wouldn't want to cross the wires too much. Being more orally focused, Troubadours opt to manifest their power by generating musical notes with their abilities, rather than visually deceptive clones. Oh. So, this is a zero clone mesmer. So, we're a little bit, virtuoso-y. Oh, God. See, virtuoso so easily could have fit the shoe for this. But we don't create blades. We create notes. I'm guessing these notes are going to float above our head, just like blades would. These notes are used to extend the duration of their instrumental enhancements, allowing them to command a lasting presence in combat. Once one of them's in full swing, Troubadours use their keynote skill Crescendo to swing the tide of battle with appropriate flair. Wow, okay, so this is all very fluffy and flavory. Are they going to actually explain fully how these work? Is this kind of a thing where, you know, a standard Mesmer sort of experience is building clones to shatter. Your payoff is on the shatter. Is it different now where it's building clones to pay off with a phantasm? Is that the idea? Or something? The power of songs and tales. When playing as a Troubadour, your shatter skills are replaced... Oh, no. Okay. This is going to play much the same. So the shatter skills are your instruments. When an instrument is played, it produces an initial magical effect. Performing with the reverberating lute will release waves of sonic energy, damaging enemies. We heard about that in the trailer. By the way, was that a new voice in the trailer? Strumming the harmonious So I'm guessing that's F1. That's Mind Rack now. The loot is your damage, right? Strumming the harmonious harp will create a healing area to provide succor to allies. So F2, Cry of Frustration, has become a healing thing? After an instrument is used, it will no, maybe I'm being too specific here. After an instrument's used, it will continue playing in the background, providing bonuses to the player that can be further augmented through traits. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, if you guys came along for my recent Final Fantasy XIV series just a few months ago, I was playing a bard there, and that played a bit like this, right? The song kept playing in the background and providing buffs and perks in different ways. Troubadours use their voices as well as their instruments. So hold on, are some shatters instruments and some shatters voices? They can recite the tale of Queen Jenna protecting divinity's reach to grant their allies distortion. There's another human connection. Or they can invoke the story of Scarlet Briar, emulating her cruelty to debilitate their enemies. Sounds like an F3. Troubadours can become a whole band on their own. I mean, think about it as well with Uzlan's mechanical orchestra. Through the Grandmaster trait Call and Response, creating an afterimage of an instrument that repeats its effect. Well, there's your echo mechanic, but we're not talking about the Paragon yet. Oh, a lot of this is going to come down to the stream, isn't it, guys? A lot of it's going to come down to the stream. Oh my god, and we're already onto the Galeshot. Wow. Okay, so this blog post is really just giving us a vibe of, like, the idea. It's more about thematics. And we still have a lot to guess at for the gameplay. Well, there you go. That's the Troubadour. I mean, much of what I feel like we just read there, we effectively could have gathered just from the name, right? And the class combination. Interesting. It might be worth looking back at that trailer. Some of those animations did feel quite familiar to animations we've already seen, just recolored pink, and I don't want to see too much of that. But okay, all right, moving on then. I guess I'll create... By the way, guys, I'm trying to do, for these videos, chapter timestamps. There were a lot of chapter timestamps on the last video, but they took a while to process. Let me know if they're not there. You should be able to just click to your favorite class as I cover, you know, all 9 of these over the upcoming days. All right, so the Galeshot. I said if you missed my podcast I did with Boots earlier in the week, I just want to say again, that icon, the Galeshot icon, that to me is my favorite icon, purely in terms of aesthetics. Look at that thing. It looks so good. And especially here now that it's colored in. The Painterly style with it. Now we have a Sylvari. Oh, man. I wonder what their temptation was to put a Tengu in that concept art. Oh, because obviously you can't play them, so... I'll tell you what they could do, guys. All right, they could have had a character in-game, but they could have put it on... see, I don't actually think I own this, by the way, but one of the new headpieces... God, if I type bird, will it come up? No. Oh, it won't be listed in order, will it? There's a new headpiece in the game that just makes your character look like it has a bird head. I don't know where I'm going to be able to find it. I think it might have been the gem store. You might have been able to earn it in-game. They should have just done that, though. That would have been amazing. All right, okay, so let's see the Galeshot. My immediate thoughts, by the way, watching that trailer there was it was like a mashup of longbow and shortbow. You know, you had the jump back on an attack. That's shortbow 3. You had the rapid fire pew-pew. That's longbow 2, right? But it did seem to be creating these big walls of wind. That looked pretty fun. It's funny they went with Tengu. I feel like another good fit might have been the Zephyrhites, right? With their aspect of wind and so on. I speculated earlier in the week it might be about very high jumps. We did kind of see a jumpy, twirly thing. I guess I'm just really curious about the mechanic here. It sounds like this thing gets its own third type of bow. And some of you guys are going to hear that and say, oh, that sounds really silly. I'm kind of coming at that from a Guild Wars 1 mindset where we had 4 very distinct kinds of bows. You know, you had the flat bows and the recurve bows and the long bows. What was the other one? But they all had very different arcs and very different fire rates and hit rates and stuff. It's very cool. Play Guild Wars 1. It's a good RPG. So anyway, we'll see. The Galeshot, Masters of the Wind. There was a line in the trailer just now that I thought seemed a bit iffy. And that was about how the Tengu are eager to share shit with us. Are they? I thought they were still incredibly isolationist. So the Galeshot, Masters of the Wind. For over 100 years, the Tengu of the Dominion of Winds have kept their gates shut, and their arrows trained on the outside world. Also, okay, look, I'll articulate what I'm a little bit nervous about here. The moment when the Tengu open their doors, those Tengu, and join us in the world, and become a part of Tyria, larger Tyria, so to speak, that moment, that is an expansion-worthy moment. That's an experience I want to play. That's a big deal. I'm really nervous that this blog post is about to offhandedly reveal it's happened off screen. Like, that would be really, really lame, and I hope that that's not what's about to happen. That'll be like when we just happen to meet the dwarves again in Champions in the middle of the, you know, the end of the Icebrood saga. I don't like stuff like that. We'll see. Okay, for over 100 years, the Tengu, the Dominion Ruins, have kept their gates shut and their areas trained on the outside world. Nice little visual imagery there. Any of us who played Season 1 will remember them shooting us down as Scarlet attacked the city. After minions of Primordus and Jormag threatened to siege the Dominion's walls in the last Dragon Rise, speaking of champions, that's what they're talking about there, some Tengu, nice, have emerged to more actively engage in Tyrian affairs. As a rare honor, they offer cultural exchanges at the behest of their royal houses. Brilliant. Oh, mwah, love it. Even a little reference there to their royal houses, of which we know almost nothing. One such exchange is the honoured tradition of the Galeshot. Cool! These Tengu archers, skilled and oath-bound to protect the royal houses, are able to summon the 4 cardinal winds to form a powerful cyclone bow and deliver swift justice to their foes. That idea of the Cardinals is something that's been associated with them before, so that's a very cool match. As contributing members of the Tyrian Alliance, the Tengu now offer tutelage in these skills to willing outsiders who express interest in the Galeshot craft. Interesting. I wonder if we get kind of a mechanic where, you know, Druid builds CA to get... Sorry. What do they actually build? Just Celestial Juice? Celestial? What do they build? It's not life force, is it? Anyway, druids build a currency to get into sea. I wonder whether this class builds, like, the 4 winds. Like, you got to do something that procs the north wind and something that procs the south wind and so on. And once you've got all 4, that's Exodia, so to speak. And now you go into your big form, right? And the big form is like a Blade Sworn style, having the new bow. Because this is the thing, the new era of elite specs do not come with left-hand skills, but sometimes elite specs do have that. Necromancer Shroud's obvious example, right? So, I would say, oh, this is a Shroud-based, but it's not, is it? That's what we just saw the Guardian's going to be. So here we got a screenshot of it, the special bow. What did they call it again? The Cyclone Bow? It's a cool name. I mean, that almost looks like a screenshot from the trailer, right? Wielders of the Cyclone Bow. Galeshots are rangers and the premier archers of Tyria. Using their aptitude for nature magic. Oh, wow. That's interesting to me that they said that. Because my kind of big thing about Elite Specs for ages is core lines, but enhance. There's a plethora of themes. Is that how they view this? Nature magic plus? But, I mean, this sounds very offensively minded. Nature magic, obviously, is not offensively minded for base. I mean, I would almost say Druid is nature magic plus almost, right? I don't know. I think it's... I think a lot of you guys will be thinking like me when we talk about elite specs like that, where you think, oh, is this spec a support spec? Is this spec a CC spec or whatever? I don't think we should really think of them in those terms. Not anymore. Once upon a time, I think Arenanet were operating that way, but nowadays you look at a lot of them and they have different, you know, they've got 3 lines. They usually have like a hybrid, like quality of life line is like the middle line, and they'll have like something supportive, whether that's boon support or heal support or whatever, and they'll have something offensive. You know, like it for a long time it was correct to say Tempest is a support spec, but it's not anymore. You can very clearly see there's a fat damage line on Tempest with huge damage modifiers, and Tempest does a lot of damage. It just depends on how you want to run it, right? And that's true of so many specs now. So when I'm speculating about this new 9, you know, I'm not really... I'm trying to escape from that idea that, you know, one guy is going to be a support guy, another... No, I think you'll have avenues for specialization with a lot of them. So anyway, using their aptitude for nature magic, they can sculpt and command the wind at will. This power is... I think this is a really good theme, right? Sort of like a windmancer, like a wind-themed magical archer. It's good. It fits nicely into the game. It's not like totally been taken already and stepping on someone else's shoes. This power is manifested in the Cyclone Bow, a weapon that is capable of long-range devastation. Well, there's a bit of a niche for you. The Cyclone Bow increases in strength as it is... It's funny that they're saying that because I'm expecting a couple of the other classes will have something like that too. So I wonder whether Arenanet are going to do some system changes to make something like that appealing to people, particularly in PvE where it's often not. The Cyclone Bow increases in strength as it's used, culminating in a powerful coup de grace to dispatch... Sorry, guys. Sorry, I said that wrong. Coup de grace. To dispatch your enemies. Learning from nature, Galeshots emulate birds in the sky by employing squalls of air. They are swift and graceful to ensure advantageous positioning in battle. So I wonder what that means, actually, in terms of the buttons we press. Wonder if we'll get a button that leaps us over the target and, like, puts us way behind them or something. They emulate birds in the sky. I like it. I really like the thematics of this. I think it's a good idea. So, actually, rather than building up to get the bow and then you have it for a little while and it goes away, it kind of sounds more like you have the bow for a while till it gets really strong and then it's sort of spent. Battle with keen sight and unerring aim. Galeshots are able to call upon the Cyclone Bow at will. So no mechanics to get in and out. That leads me to think very Bladespawny in a way. The Cyclone Bow generates arrows over time. These arrows are a resource used to fuel its skills, such as Supersonic Arrow, a lightning-fast shot of wind that deals heavy damage to enemies it pierces. That thing about gathering feathers, it feels very FF14 too, doesn't it? But isn't that's on a different class over there? Or am I thinking about roses or something? As you use arrow-consuming skills with the bow, you progress toward... Oh, do you know what, guys? I actually really like this. If they're going big on the archer theme, you know that Guild Wars does have a fairly robust idea of ammunition skills and so on, right? But, like, very early on in the design for Guild Wars 2, they said, we're not going to have actual ammo in this game. You know, some MMOs, you've got to go to the merchant and buy 300 arrows and 200 poison arrows or whatever, you spend them. They very obviously said, no, we're not doing that. You know, it fell in line with a lot of their philosophies, like having a permanent aqua breather underwater. You know, they didn't like mechanics like this. But the actual idea of playing with lots of ammunition, as it's slowly crept in through the balance refinements over the years, is kind of fun. And yet Ranger hasn't really been able to play around in that space much. And here we get it with a bow. So this is kind of a cool way of them taking the new tech, the new ideas of, you know, like overlapping cooldowns and giving it to the bow without actually having to rework longbow or shortbow. I kind of like that. As you use arrow-consuming skills with the bow, you progress towards enabling its finale, Hawkeye. Hawkeye locks onto your target and nearby enemies, and then unleashes a hail of shredding arrows. Lock-on is... Guild Wars is a game. Like, the engine is capable of, you know, like, dodging arrows, obstructing things, you know, treating it a bit more like an FPS than like a hit-scanny kind of, like, RPG, more like Guild Wars 1 was. It has all of that, but very rarely does it feel too relevant again in PvE. So we'll see how fun that feels. These archers utilize squalls to control the flow of battle. They can call upon a freezing wind to chill their projectiles, launch themselves with a whirlwind, or even summon a raging tornado. Oh my god, the return of Tornado! Tornado's back! Galeshots can form a closer bond with their avian allies through traits like flock together, enhancing bird pets, and granting quickness to allies with beast skills. Okay, hold on. Am I a little bit out... Did they already do something like this? Why is there a tiny little bell in the back of my mind ringing that they might have... That, I think, is really interesting. Tying certain elite specs to certain families of pets. Not even elite specs necessarily, but just lines. There's been something similar or close to that recently, hasn't there? Somewhere else in the balance. I quite like that because that creates space for different families of pets to actually be relevant and worthwhile. Like, as the elite spec changes, and that's your decision as a player, you have new encouragement to try pets you wouldn't otherwise, because now a new family is promoted. I think that's inspired. That's very, very, very clever. And it's on theme. That's exactly what you'd want. If you're going to be like this bird sort of associated elite spec, running around with bird pets at the same time. Guys, I like this. I like a lot of what I just read there. I really do. Alright, so now we're on to the third and final one. Man, that's a cool looking character. Is that nightmare armor? Oh no, that's decade armor, isn't it? Isn't that the decade armor that they're wearing right now? Holy crap. Okay, so Luminary. So this is a faux fire themed Guardian, which I guess is smart putting it on. If you're going to do a faux fire themed elite spec, let's say that they had that as just an idea. Putting it on Guardian's a good idea because blue fire doesn't feel out of place on Guardian. On the other hand, it kind of feels like we're not really indulging in the faux fire thematics because it's just there all over Guardian anyway. Of course, it's making me think about the ghostly weapon summons already. Again, though, with the sword and shield there, it kind of feels like... I mean, is that a normal Guardian sword and shield we're looking at? Or are they faux fire additions, in which case we're looking at even more left-handed skills? Could it be that when we actually get the revelation of these things, we're going to see that there's loads of effectively new weapons coming in anyway? Even though ostensibly this was a stripped-down set of elite specs. Here we go. The Luminary. Protectors of the Secret Flame. The Secret Flame. In the years following the Char Civil War... Look at that, guys. It's been years since the Char Civil War. And the scattering of Bangar's dominion. Oh, really? I don't think we've ever had a set of elite specs that feels so, like, clued in lore-wise. I certainly don't remember reading a blog post like this about other elite specs. In the years following the Char Civil War and the scattering of Bangar's dominion, relations between the four legions have remained steady, bolstered by events after the end of the Dragon cycle. Yeah, it's boring that they're steady, but okay. We're not ready for a story with them yet, so that's fine. With the Flame Legion formally rejoining the legions, and the Iron Legion having appointed Smoder's successor, the two legions sought to commemorate the changing times with a joint project. Thus, the Luminary was born. Well, hold on. What about the project still going on in the Black Citadel? You know, with the Ghost Bore rifles and all that. In a shrewd diplomatic play, the two legions have since agreed to share their combined efforts with the Tyrian Alliance and its member races in the spirit of continued collaboration in this new era. You know, I'm guessing they very deliberately decided not to have this iconic concept art shown by their actual, like, lore thing, just so that players know, hey, you don't have to skip this just because you're not a Char. You don't have to skip this just because you're not a Sylvari. You know, it works on everyone. That's kind of what they're tacitly saying, I guess. Thus, the Luminary was born. In a shrewd diplomatic play, the two legions have since agreed to share... Yeah. Luminaries bear an enchanted iron brazier that sustains a powerful sacred flame. The bearer can wreathe themselves with this fire and wield a blazing arsenal of weapons against their foes while striking powerful stances mid-fray. Well, I guess the skill tag for their utilities is going to be stances then. Which is a good fit. You know, it's been how many years you would have thought that this other soldier profession would get stances. Stances for the Guardian. There it is. I like that. Feels very natural. But hold on. An arsenal of weapons? Now, they say arsenal. Could it just be that it's an F1, F2, F3? So this guy's got a great sword. Yeah, and we saw in the trailer that floating... You know, it's almost like a gyro, isn't it? I guess that's the Sacred Flame. Or the Secret Flame. They say secret at the header, and then they say sacred later. So I guess that's my flame, and as I play, the flame builds, and I spend the flame... Harness the Radiant Shroud. Oh, right. Okay, yeah. So it's a Shroud Guardian. I like this. Do you guys think every single wave of Elite Specs will get a new Shroud now, right? First, we had Reaper Shroud. Then what do we have? Oh, did we not have a Shroud for POF? Then we had Spectre and Harbinger Shroud. Now we have Radiant Shroud. I think Radiant Shroud is the coolest. Just because it's such a reverse. Like, I don't even know how this looks or plays, obviously. But when I think of shrouds, you know, even just the word shrouding, I think of darkness and so on. So the idea of having something that is such an inverse is immediately really captivating. Luminaries are guardians, stalwart combatants on the battlefield, capable of putting out respectable damage or supporting their allies. I don't like lines like that. What does that tell us? I mean, obviously they'll do some damage. Their brazier provides energy for the Radiant Shroud. Right, so the floating thing's the brazier. It gives you Radiant Shroud, in which they are able to wield various weapons of light and flame. I see, so when we go into Shroud, we'll get 5 skills, probably, and each represents a different crazy part of the arsenal. The question is, does that mean Shroud is F4? Probably, right? Oh, I wonder whether it will just have the regular-ass virtues, but just with an F4 tacked on there. That would be new for Guardian. Guardian's always changing up the virtues, but maybe for the first time it won't. They're able to wield various weapons of light and flame to adapt to the situation at hand. Luminaries also have access to stance utilities, gaining additional tools for offense, defense, crowd control, mobility. Radiant Shroud is a new take on the Shroud mechanic. This Shroud has no resource. Wow. Yet you're still calling it a Shroud. Allowing players to always enter when the Shroud is not on cooldown. While in Radiant Shroud, your weapon skills are replaced with 5 new ones. A basic attack in the first slot and 4 radiant weapon skills in the 2nd through 5th. Okay. Illuminating weaponry. Using a radiant weapon skill will equip that weapon while performing an initial attack and then flip over into the weapon's additional skill. The Luminary's Grandmaster Minor trait, Radiant Armament, grants a unique passive bonus based on the equipped weapon, which lingers for a bit after exiting the Shroud. So wait, can you take the weapon out of the Shroud? Luminaries looking to maximize their outgoing damage may want to use the hammer right before exiting to take advantage of its bonus passive damage, while those who need to support their allies might prefer to end on staff to gain access to its increased outgoing healing. Players are free to use all 4 weapons while in Shroud, but there is a trade-off. The recharge time of the Radiant Shroud will increase for each weapon used beyond the first. Okay, so we go into Shroud. We hit 3, say. It doesn't attack and equips me the weapon. And now I can tap 3 again. What, over and over and over and over and over again to keep auto-attacking with this new 3. So we have regular... and then when we leave, it goes away, but we get the passive from it still for a bit. This will be one for the stream, I think. Yeah, so... And we get 4, and the only examples we've heard here are hammer and staff. The concept art has shown sword and shield. This one way back here. So I guess that's all 4 of them, probably? And they're all weapons that Guardian already has regular equivalents of. I don't know whether that makes it less exciting or not. Oh, no! What? That's the end? What's next? Oh! We hope you've enjoyed our... Oh, my God. We hope you've enjoyed the first of 3 previews. We'll be back next week with details on the next 3. But don't forget, this Friday, check out the Guild Wars 2 Twitch channel for a closer look at them. And listen, if this is your first rodeo, dear viewer, you should be aware. They tend to do those streams tend to be quite long. I remember even going back to the when they did the specialization rework before Heart of Thorns came out. Even just that, I remember they went on for hours longer than they wanted to. They looked like they wanted to die by the end. So yeah, could be a good one. Thanks very much for watching. If you've got any thoughts on anything I've missed, I've got two thoughts for you. 1, you could drop a comment down below. I will be watching the comments very closely, taking screenshots and so on. 2, head over to the live tab for an expanded version of this video where I'm going to be chatting with people in the live stream about, what we think. Maybe watch the trailer again. Who knows? Thanks very much for watching, guys. Hope you've enjoyed. So far, Visions of Eternity looking pretty good. It's amazing how much these specs add, isn't it? Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.